Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today I'm actually going to be doing a video that was suggested for me to do, which by the way, if any of you guys have any suggestions for videos you'd like me to see, topics you want me to talk about or whatever, then always feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm always open to suggestions. But this was left on my last video, my EU versus canon video or whatever it was. By Ganner Rhizo. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he wanted me to talk about all of the upcoming Star Wars shows and stuff, and sort of what I'm looking forward to with all of them. And I'm kind of going to be doing that, but I'm also changing it a little bit. I'm going to just go over all of the shows, kind of sort of ranked from my least excited to my most excited, I guess, and talk a little bit about each of them and what I hope to see from them and all that kind of stuff. The first three shows I'm going to talk about are ones that I'm interested in seeing them. I think they might be interesting and kind of fun, but I'm not like super hyped to see them or anything. And of course, as time goes on and we learn more about these shows and get images or trailers or whatever, I'll probably become more excited. But as for right now, just not really feeling them too much. So the first one I'm going to talk about, the one that I am absolute least excited for, is kind of an unpopular pick, which is the Ahsoka show. And like in terms of what I think this show might be about, it would actually be a little bit higher, but the only reason that I have it at the very bottom is because I just don't know Ahsoka very much. I've only seen the first season of the Clone Wars, and I've seen, I think, like half of the second season, but that was several years ago now. And I've seen her episode in The Mandalorian, and I think that's about it. I just haven't really, don't really know her character all that much, or really all that much about her. And that's really the main reason. The whole kind of the rumors surrounding it about like her going with like Grand Admiral Thrawn might be involved, and all these different rumors floating around, different things that it could be, sounds interesting. But as far as the character itself, considering it is named after Ahsoka, it's just not really one that I'm super looking forward to, simply because I just don't really know her character that much. The next one is probably the one, kind of just thinking about what it actually is probably the one I'm least excited for. But like I said, I just don't know Ahsoka super well, so that's kind of last by default. But the next one is Rangers of the New Republic, which I'm not even sure is still happening. I know there were rumors that it was canceled, but I always just take those rumors with a grain of salt. They could be true, they could be not true. But we don't really know what this is exactly going to be about. I believe it's been said that it might follow like some of the New Republic characters that we met in The Mandalorian, and kind of what they're up to, I guess, which I think could be fun. It's just, again, not something I'm super interested in, but I'm sure as we learn more about it and all that, it'll probably pique my interest a little bit more. And the third one that I'm going to talk about, for kind of the ones I'm least excited for, is actually The Bad Batch Season 2. Now, for those of you who like follow me on Twitter and kind of got my brief thoughts on each episode as it aired, I did enjoy the first season of The Bad Batch. I thought it was a pretty good season. There was a couple of lower points, but there was also a lot of really high points. And most of the episodes that weren't really super great or super, I wouldn't even say bad, just not really that interesting, most of the other episodes were still enjoyable to watch. I mean, I'm looking forward to season 2, because season 1 I thought was good, and there's still some different unanswered questions and different things that I want to see developed further. Like, want to learn more about Omega, learn more about like the Kaminoans and what their cloning stuff, is going on with the Empire, and get more of like Crosshair and his relationship to the Bad Batch, and the Bad Batch themselves, get some more development for them, because I know like Echo and Tech didn't really get much in the show. So for those reasons, I am looking forward to it for sure, but again, it's just not one I'm super duper excited for or anything. Next one, this is kind of the middle tier, I guess, the ones that I'm looking forward to and I'm excited for, but I'm not like super excited for. And then the next one is going to be like the ones that I'm absolutely like very much looking forward to. But starting off this one is going to be Lando, of course, the TV show that is going to be following Lando Calrissian in some way. I don't know what has been confirmed about the show, but it's been at least rumored that Donald Glover is going to come back and play Lando. Of course, he played young Lando in Solo: A Star Wars Story. There's also been rumors that like Billy D. Williams might come back for certain parts. Maybe I've seen some people say, and I think this is quite a cool idea, Billy D. Williams Lando could be kind of telling the story, and then, you know, on screen you would see young Lando played by Donald Glover kind of doing the actual like stuff. But it could kind of have some sort of narration-ish type of thing maybe involving Billy D. Williams, which I think would be cool. Lando, to me, is not the most interesting character. I know that's kind of an unpopular opinion. A lot of people really like Lando, but to me, I've just never been the massive Lando fan. But I did really like him in Solo, and I thought he was a lot of fun. And I think Donald Glover, again, did a really good job with the role, so I would definitely be interested in seeing him come back again. First of all, so I can learn more about the character and experience more stories with the character and kind of become more of a fan of Lando. But also, another reason I'm looking forward to this is because it seems like it might be a sort of, if not a direct sequel, then some kind of like a spiritual successor type of thing to Solo, which I would love. One of the like Disney Plus series that I would most like to see personally is like a Han and Chewie type of show, which I know we've gotten a lot of Han and Chewie in like the movies and stuff, but I really liked Alden and Ehrenreich as Han Solo, and I would love to see him and Chewbacca just doing fun little bite-sized 20 to 30 minute long adventures. Right now, this is probably the closest thing we're going to get to that, even though it doesn't have Han or Chewie, or at least not yet. Maybe they'll show up at some point. But yeah, it's kind of a sequel-ish to Solo, or at least it could be. So that's one of the main reasons I'm also excited for it. Next one up is one that's coming out pretty soon, actually. Not super soon, but I think sometime next year. And that is Andor, of course, the series that's going to be following Cassian Andor, who is one of the main characters in Rogue One. As far as like the actual character, I'm not super interested in learning more about him. I mean, there's clearly some interesting history there that he kind of hints at in Rogue One. Says like he's done horrible things for the rebellion and all that kind of stuff. So I think it could be interesting to see some of that, and I really hope that we get to see some of that in Andor and kind of learn more about his character in that way. But aside from that, I'm not super interested in the character. However, just the way that the show has been described, just kind of the general feel of it and sort of genre, I suppose, it could be kind of interesting, I think. And that's more so what I'm looking forward to. But I am also interested in learning more about Cassian, because even though I'm not super interested in him, he was, I think, an interesting character, and I would be fine with learning more about him, and probably he would grow on me after that, I think. And also, if we don't get to see K2SO in that series, I'm going to be very upset. Next one I'm going to talk about is The Mandalorian Season 3. Now, I really love The Mandalorian, the first two seasons. I thought the first season had a couple of low points, but overall it was really good, had a lot of great episodes. Season 2, kind of similar, had one or two low points, I think, but for the most part, it was all really good. And I think had a lot of the best episodes of the series so far. So I am very much looking forward to Season 3. I feel like the story might go in a little bit of a different direction, considering Grogu has now found his new home with Luke Skywalker at the end of Season 2. So I'm sure that, assuming we don't see Grogu again, which I personally would be fine with. I know a lot of people really want to see him again, but I feel like that part of the story has kind of ended now, and I would like to see something new and different. So there's been some interesting stuff set up with like Mandalore and all this different stuff. And also, on the other hand, I would also kind of like to see the Mandalorian maybe even go back to a little bit of the original bounty hunting. In general, it's just a season that I'm looking forward to. I have no idea where it's going to go. I don't know the kind of story that they've got to tell with it, but I am very much looking forward to it. Now, this next one could really either go in the I'm looking forward to it, but not extremely, or it could be kind of on the lower end of the I'm very much looking forward to it. I don't really know where to put it, so it's just kind of here. That's the Book of Boba Fett, which is kind of going to be a very direct spin-off of The Mandalorian, I think. Of course, we got the return of Boba Fett in Mandalorian Season 2, which I loved. I've never been the biggest Boba Fett fan. I've always thought he was okay, but as far as the Fetts are concerned, I've always been more of a Jango guy. I just think he got more to do in the movies. I've always found him more interesting. However, Boba Fett in The Mandalorian Season 2 got me interested in Boba Fett. I'm looking forward to the Book of Boba Fett just for the sake of learning more about him and becoming more interested in him because, you know, The Mandalorian Season 2, his appearance in that really piqued my interest in the character. So now I want to kind of get more of it. But also Fennec Shand, who was in The Mandalorian, as well as the Bad Batch, I think has a lot of potential as kind of, I don't really want to say his sidekick, but kind of another bounty hunter character working with Boba Fett, and I think that'll be really fun. But anyways, I'm very much looking forward to Book of Boba Fett, especially now that we've seen The Mandalorian Season 2. Now we're actually like in the ones that I'm very much looking forward to, and the first one I'm going to talk about is releasing very, very soon. And that is Star Wars Visions. Now, if you had asked me prior to the 1 or 2 trailers that we've gotten for this show, this would have easily been very close to the bottom of the list. I really didn't care about this show all that much or at all. However, we got the trailers. And this is the reason why I say, you know, some of the ones lower on the list, when we start seeing stuff from them, I may get a bit more excited for them, because I saw the trailers for this show and it looks absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait to see what they do with this show. It's just such an interesting concept. And when I heard about what it was, you know, kind of telling stories that are part of Star Wars but don't necessarily have to adhere to canon or whatever, or just generally being in like the anime style, I was just kind of like, yeah, that sounds interesting, but you know, whatever, I'll check it out, but it doesn't sound incredible. But seeing what they're doing with it has me very excited. In fact, this could even go up to my most anticipated show. There's just 2 more, which I have not mentioned yet, that I'm just also very much looking forward to, so I kind of feel like I have to put those there. But I'm very much looking forward to Visions. It sounds like a super interesting concept, just people's interpretation and vision of what their version of Star Wars storytelling could be, and told through various different means of animation. You know, there's all these different styles and all this stuff, which I'm excited to see as well, how those different animation styles work in the show. It just sounds really cool, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Next one I'm going to talk about is probably a lot of people's number one, and that is the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I'm in my early 20s, and I've been a Star Wars fan all my life. So I grew up on the prequels. I love the prequels, even though I went through a bit of a period of time in my teens where I was very much on the prequel hate train. At my heart, I love the prequels. I love the story they tell, the characters, all that stuff. And so even just hearing that we're getting an Obi-Wan show featuring Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, and seeing them again gets me very excited. So that in itself is a reason why I'm looking forward to this. But also, Obi-Wan to me is one of the most interesting characters in the Star Wars films. And I just think that a show set on Tatooine with him between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope just sounds super interesting. As far as what I'm hoping for this show, I really hope that it kind of takes some cues from the Kenobi novel that was released, I believe, in 2014. It's a Legends novel, and it's one of my favorite Star Wars books. where it's a very small scale Obi-Wan just kind of dealing with life on Tatooine and helping the people of Tatooine, but also struggling with the fact that his, as he put it, his brother basically, went to the dark side and did all these horrible atrocities and dealing with that. And I hope that we get a really personal look at Obi-Wan Kenobi. On top of that, get an interesting story with some interesting new side characters and all this different stuff. And there's a lot of rumors going around about this show about like Inquisitors and Obi-Wan and Vader having the rematch of the century or something like that. Which, personally, do I want to see Obi-Wan and Vader face-to-face meet and duel in this show? Not really. And I know I'm kind of in a minority on that, but I don't see any way that could really work. And maybe they could make it work, but if it's just like they somehow meet and they fight and they have this interaction, sure, it could be interesting to see them interact with each other. However, I think the fact that in A New Hope, it's implied that they're meeting for the first time since Mustafar, to me that I just like that, and that's kind of what I'm used to, I guess, so I don't really want that to change. But I do hope that we see something there, see the effects that it's having on Vader, see what he's going through during this time, because in the films we don't really get to see much of the personal side of Vader or Anakin after Revenge of the Sith, at least not until maybe Return of the Jedi. That's really the only time I feel like we get an actual personal look at him. I think this would be a really effective way to do that. So in general, there's a whole bunch of reasons I'm looking forward to the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And I'm sure this is many people's number one pick, but to me there's another show that just slightly edges it out. So of course that leaves only one show left to talk about, and that is The Acolyte, which I was not sure if I wanted to put at number one. These top three shows, Visions, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and The Acolyte, could go in just about any order. I think they all sound super interesting. I'm very excited for all three of them. However, the main thing that pushes The Acolyte up for me is the fact that, first of all, it's going to be set during the High Republic. Granted, the very tail end of the High Republic, but still the High Republic. On top of that, it's going to be probably a very dark side-centric story, which some of you may know that those are among my favorite stories in Star Wars. Stuff like the Darth Plagueis book and the Darth Bane trilogy. Hearing that we're getting a TV series set in the High Republic era, and about the dark side. We don't know whether it's going to be about like a Sith Lord and his apprentice or anything like that yet, but something dark side focused. That in itself just has me very, very excited for this show. We don't really know much else of what it's going to be like, but to me that's enough. There's not really much else I have to say about it. It's just the fact that we're getting something focused on the dark side just sounds super intriguing to me, and I can't wait to see what they've got in store for this one. So that is pretty much it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. What are you the most excited for? What are you the least excited for? And all that. And again, if you have any suggestions for videos and topics you'd like me to discuss in a video, feel free to let me know down in the comments. And that's pretty much it for this video, so I'll see you guys next time.